stupid.
Yo, get in there.
I'm
Yo,
stupid.
get in there.
I'm
Yo,
stupid.
yo,
I'm
back
so
up into the.
stupid.
Oh.
I'm so stupid.
You
What did I check up into?
Oh my god.
What is happening?
I'm
What is happening here? I'm so confused as to what is
literally.
happening.
They just completely missed all fucking Arcstar on you, and you backed into it.
I don't know what.
What's up, guys? It's Bax, and today I wanted to make a video about what could be done to buff Caustic. What could Caustic get that would give him that little bit of an edge so that he could start being used a little bit more in the meta for top competitive play. Now, I want to preface this by saying I am going to be talking about this with top level play in mind. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm talking about the top level of competitive play, so ranked or professional play. And I wanted to break it down into just a general buff that he could get to help him. I want to talk about what they could do specifically to his traps, what they could specifically do to his ultimate, and then what they could specifically do to his passive. Now, I've been getting a lot of comments about this, and I've been getting a lot of people commenting what they think, and I would like to say, you know, again, thanks for all the support, guys. It's been really cool. It's really fun just seeing all the different people talking about Caustic, and I never knew there was this much love for Caustic, so it's been a lot of fun reading everyone's comments, and I love talking about this with people, so I'm really excited to see what you guys put in the comments talking about this. Please reply to me. Again, this is my opinion. If you guys don't agree, that's fine. This is just from my experience of playing him at a higher end competitive level, and this is what I would hope to see Respawn do to help Caustic out. Now, in the past, we've seen him receiving buffs along with Gibby, and then nerfs to the other small framed characters to make them take less damage because they are the bigger characters. So a very simple buff that I really wouldn't want to see because it doesn't do much for the skill ceiling of playing Caustic, and I love skill ceiling in any game, and I think Apex has they have a good chance to make a really good skill ceiling in this game. And if they just reduced the damage Caustic took even more, I don't think that would be fun. Would it help? Yeah. Would you see more Caustics? Maybe. But I would rather them do something fun that increased the skill level of playing him, as opposed to just making him take less damage. But that is a very viable thing they could do to help him. Just a 5, or probably not 10%, but just a 5% damage reduction, literally just making enemies have to shoot you 1 or 2 more times because you are so big. It's a lot easier to just beam a Caustic than it is to shoot anybody else. But that's really it. As far as just general buffs, that's most of the other stuff has to do with his toolkit. So when you compare it, any of the legends together, any of the legends that have a get out of jail free card, you know, like Wraith, she can Void Run, and Pathfinder is able to just grapple away. They have that advantage in the sense that they can just get out very quickly. So any character that has that will always have an advantage. But something I want everyone to understand and to remember is that tuning for any legends or just any game, it all comes down to the developers and how they decide to tune something. If the developers change something, it can be drastic or really not that important, but anything can become powerful. It really just comes down to the developers, which is something I think is very important. Some people don't really understand that, and that it legitimately just comes down to the developers and what they do to make a character stronger or weaker. But going back to Caustic, reining it back in, the first thing I want to talk about are his traps. What could be done to his traps specifically to make him more powerful? Now, again, I'm not saying all of the things I'm about to say for all of these different parts of Caustic should be done. Any number of these things could be added and make him more powerful. But I'm not saying do all this, because I wouldn't want him to be broken. I do like where he is right now, where he is a skill-based character. But some of the things they could do for his trap, simple, increase the trap damage. Personally, I think that the traps don't do enough damage. They don't do enough damage fast enough. So you could buff I've seen some people say, you know, buff the damage that the traps do, or buff how fast they do damage. Either way, they just need to be a little bit more impactful. And that's where it comes with looking at how the traps work when you throw them down. It's very easy to just pop a Caustic's trap when he throws it. So I've actually read some comments saying maybe make the base of it stronger so that it's not just one bullet destroying the trap. Kind of like how Crypto's EMP or his drone is a lot stronger now because it takes more rounds to destroy it. It would give you an idea of where people are coming from, and you'd be able to prepare yourself for enemies, and they would actually have to think a little bit more about if they want to break your trap or not. Another thing you could do is just reduce the cooldown of his traps, or add more traps, but reducing the cooldown of how long it takes to get the traps back so that a caustic can produce more traps faster. That would increase his viability, because he would be able to just keep throwing traps and make it harder and harder for people to push. That one I'm not too worried about. I do like the system they have right now for the traps, and when you get really good at it, you know how to cycle your traps so that you aren't running out of them at any time. One thing I would like to see for the traps is the ability to activate them without shooting them, where you press a button. Maybe it's Q, maybe it's a separate button entirely, but you activate the trap when you want without having to shoot it. Maybe you can just look at it through the wall wherever you see it glowing, and you press a button and it activates that trap. So you could preemptively use it before people push your building, or, you know, just without having to shoot it. So you're not having to use your ammo to shoot it. Now, those aren't the only things that could be done to his traps, but those are definitely just some ideas that I have. I don't want Caustic to be overpowered. I don't ever want that. As I said earlier, I do like how there is a skill ceiling with certain characters, and how Caustic is one of the harder legends to master. But I do think a little bit of extra help on the traps would be nice. The buffs we did get for the traps were good. I just think that they could definitely buff them a little bit more. But as far as the traps go, that would be kind of that's the end of my idea list. The next thing I would like to talk about is his ultimate ability. I do think there's a lot of stuff that Respawn could do to make Caustic's ultimate a little bit better, because right now I think it is extremely impactful when used correctly, but I do think, especially for more beginner Caustics or just people wanting to get into playing him, they need to make it a little bit easier for it to be impactful. Again, I don't want it to just completely gas people out and destroy them without having any skill involved. I do like the way it works now, because you can throw an ultimate and it just be completely wasted if you don't use it correctly, and I think that's totally fine. It makes you disciplined on how you want to use it. But some of the things that have just killed me, and I would say unnecessarily, would be the speed at which Caustic deploys his ultimate. I do wish that it would come out a little bit faster. Sometimes I make the decision that I want to throw an ultimate at somebody, and in the time of me taking it out and throwing it, in that split second between throwing it and it flying through the air and landing, I realized that it wasn't a good ultimate because it just took so long to get it out. So I would say a faster deploy on the ultimate would be nice. Maybe instead of pulling out a grenade to throw, he just throws it when you press the button at wherever you're aiming. I think that would be cool. And also, it doing more damage than the traps. I don't like how it does the exact same amount of damage. Maybe it should be like super gas or a super gas bomb or something. But I have I've knocked somebody before multiple times and thrown an ultimate on them, and then their teammate rezzed them inside the gas while I was pushing, and they were able to both walk out of the gas, and their other teammate was able to, you know, help them. And in certain situations, you know, I just had the upper hand, pushed in, and then no longer had the upper hand, especially if they have a gold backpack or something. So I don't think you should be able to survive reviving a teammate in the gas. You should be forced to crawl out. Now, I do think that they could make it to where gas does no damage, or such a small amount of damage to downed players that it doesn't really matter. So you're not just getting kills on people who are stuck in the corner in gas. I wouldn't mind that at all. But I would really like to see it to where the gas is powerful enough to where a full health person couldn't run up and res somebody knocked, and then they both walk out of the gas. In an ultimate, it's a very big ultimate from the center of the ultimate. I personally don't like that. I think maybe making it to where you literally just can't revive your teammate. The option's not there because you're coughing or whatever. You can't revive them, or it just does so much damage that you would get knocked if you tried. I actually like the former better, because then it's not just needlessly knocking people. People just know that if they're in the gas, they can't res somebody. So I'd be totally fine with that. I just think that it needs to be just a bit more impactful than it already is right now. Just a bit. I don't want, as I said, I don't want anything to break Caustic. I don't want Caustic to become super OP and everyone plays him. Like, I do like the idea of multiple legends being in groups of metas, and people who play certain metas can compete with different groups of legends, and it's all viable. And that just comes down from tweaking from Respawn, which they've been doing a little bit. So I just hope they give Caustic a little bit more love. The last thing I want to talk about is Caustic's passive. Now, his passive is very useful to him, but it does really nothing for his team. And I think the passive alone, if they did what I'm about to say, I would actually be okay with this being the only change they made to Caustic. If they made Caustic's traps and ultimates not affect his team, or affect them way less, just like Watson can drop traps and her team can run right through it, which makes no sense. They don't have all this electrical equipment on. They should get slowed when they run through it. Maybe not take damage, but they should get slowed. If you're getting slowed in caustic gas, why don't you get slowed in an electric fence? So the same with Crypto's EMP. It used to slow people, but they buffed him, because I think a lot of people don't play caustic, or they don't like playing on teams with the caustic because they feel like they're going to get slowed down and it's going to get them killed. So I do think making your teammates immune to caustic's gas would be very beneficial for caustic, and you'd actually see people running him a lot more if that was the case. And there would be less of a chance of you just, like, the skill ceiling at that point of the caustic is irrelevant in some cases about blinding your own team. Sometimes you can't help it. But as I said in my guides, you do want to take that into consideration now. But if you were able to, if this was changed the way I'm saying right here, it would make caustic so much more powerful. I guarantee you would see him a lot more than you do now, because it would make it so much easier for people to play with a caustic. I will say with his passive, though, I actually do like how his passive works when another caustic has traps down and their team is hiding in the gas. You can see them glowing. I do like that. I actually do like that about the passive, because it makes it fun when you're playing against another caustic. All of these ideas are definitely just off the top of my head, and for the sake of time with this video, I don't want it to be, 4 hours of me talking about caustic and why they should do very minute things about it. I'd much rather talk to you guys directly, either in the comments or when I'm streaming. I'd love to see you guys come to stream and talk to me about caustic. I absolutely love that, and there's a lot more time so that we can just kind of chit-chat and theory craft stuff. But those are just very basic things, I think, that I've been seeing in comments, people agreeing, and that I've just been talking with people about for months while playing caustic, that I think could help him a lot. If you guys think I missed anything, or have ideas that I didn't have, or you disagree with me, or you agree with me, let me know in the comments. I'm looking forward to reading. And also just come hop by in the stream sometime, and I'd love talking shop about Apex in general, about just all of the balance of the whole game. But I love talking about caustic, obviously. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope it makes you think a little bit about caustic and what they could do. And I really look forward to seeing what you guys have to say. But until then, this is Bax, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
I am taking.
Yeah, I think. You wanna fuck with me, Cam? Huh? You fuck with me? You fucking with the best.
I got you.
Oh, wait, got rid of my